All right, today we're diving into something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. We're talking about telomere rivers. It's this brand new discovery about our immune system that might just hold the secret to, well, reversing aging. So, let me ask you something a little provocative. What if youth wasn't just something you lose over time? What if it was something you could transfer? And look, this isn't just some philosophical question. This is the real driving force behind some absolutely fascinating science.
You know, for literally centuries, people have been obsessed with the idea of a fountain of youth. Well, that whole quest, it's officially moved out of the world of myths and straight into the lab. But instead of searching for magical water, scientists are looking at the building blocks of life itself, our cells, our genes, our blood. And one of the first big clues came from this procedure called parabiosis. And honestly, it's pretty wild. Scientists literally surgically connect the circulatory systems of two mice, one old, one young, so they're forced to share the same blood supply. Sounds crazy, right? But the results, they were just astonishing.
What they saw was that the older mice, they started showing clear signs of getting younger right there in their organs and tissues. It was this huge hint that, wow, maybe there is something in young blood that can fight aging. But, a lot of people debated the results, and there was this massive piece of the puzzle just missing. Nobody had a clue what this mysterious youth factor was or how in the world it worked.
Okay, so where did the answer finally come from? Well, a totally unexpected place. The immune system. The funny thing is, the researchers weren't even looking for an anti-aging secret. Nope, they were just studying how our immune cells talk to each other. And what they stumbled upon was a complete and utter surprise.
So as they're watching these immune cells interact, they see these beautiful glowing networks flowing between them. And this wasn't just random cellular junk. No, these were highly organized structures. They looked almost like tiny miniature rivers. And they were made of genetic material, specifically telomeres. You know, those little protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures that aha moment. The scientists who found them were so blown away by what they were seeing, they actually named them telomere rivers in their paper. It's such a perfect, poetic name for these flowing streams of genetic code, isn't it? And get this isn't just some weird thing that happens in mice. Nope. Scientists have found these exact same rivers in us, in humans, and believe it or not, even in the sap of plants. Now, whenever you see a biological mechanism that's this widespread, across completely different kingdoms of life, that's a huge red flag that you're looking at something incredibly ancient and fundamentally important. Okay, so if these rivers are so crucial, how does the body even make them? Well, it's this really incredible process. You can think of the immune system acting like a super sophisticated factory. It takes a simple little package and transforms it into this powerful, body-wide signal that basically says, time for renewal.
All right, let's break this down. First, you have these scout cells. They hand off a basic little package with telomeres inside to the immune system's master coordinators. These are your CD4 plus T cells. Now, this is where the magic happens. The T cell does this amazing upgrade. It reprograms its own metabolism. Then, it very carefully repacks the package. It tosses out junk it doesn't need, like this enzyme called GAPDH. And in its place, it stuffs in these powerful youth-promoting factors, things that tell other cells, hey, act young again. And then finally, boom, it releases this supercharged particle back into the body. And that's your telomere river.
This really shows you the before and after, and it's a night and day difference. The original package is pretty basic. It's got that metabolic enzyme, but it can't really do anything special. But the final product, the telomere river, is totally transformed. The T cell yanks out that GAPDH enzyme and loads it up with these stemness factors. These are the signals that tell other cells to stay young and healthy. And that one simple switch, that's the entire secret to its power. So, the really crucial takeaway here is that the T cell isn't just a mailman delivering a message. It's a full-on manufacturer. It takes this simple local package and upgrades it into a potent, system-wide signal. A signal that can travel everywhere in your body to deliver one simple instruction: get younger. Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But what happens when you actually put it to the test? Well, this is where the story goes from incredible to absolutely mind-blowing. The scientists managed to isolate these telomere rivers to see if they could essentially put youth in a bottle.
And the experiment they designed was just beautiful in its simplicity. They took these telomere rivers from young, healthy mice and injected them into old mice. We're talking 20 months old, which for a mouse is definitely their golden years. And then they just sat back and watched to see what would happen.
And look at this.
This chart shows the results a whole year after just one single treatment. They were measuring something called cellular senescence, which is basically just a fancy term for cellular old age, in all these different organs. And as you can see, the signs of aging were dramatically reduced. In the liver, the brain, the kidneys, the effect wasn't just in one spot. It was body-wide. It was systemic.
So what was happening? Well, these rivers were basically acting like a cleanup crew, clearing out those old, dysfunctional zombie cells. You know, they're called that because they stop dividing, but they don't die. They just hang around causing inflammation and speeding up aging. So by getting rid of them, the rivers were literally turning back the biological clock inside the cells. But even that wasn't the most stunning result. Not even close.
Get ready for this. That one treatment, it extended the median lifespan of these old mice by an unbelievable 17 months. Let that sink in. This wasn't some tiny little improvement. This was a radical, massive extension of their healthy lifespan.
But it gets even crazier. That was the median. The maximum lifespan for some of these mice hit nearly 5 years old. That is almost double the normal lifespan for a lab mouse. It's just unheard of. And all from a single treatment.
So what does all this mean? What are the implications here? I mean, we're not just talking about another face cream. This is the discovery of a natural, transplantable rejuvenation program. A program that our own bodies are actually designed to run.
And here's the kicker. It turns out we might not even need young donors to pull this off, because the scientists figured out that critical step, getting rid of that gay HDP enzyme. They were able to create artificial rivers right there in the lab. They just engineered some cells to make the packages without gay HDP, and guess what? These synthetic versions worked just as well. They were just as effective at rejuvenating the mice and extending their lives.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. What are the big takeaways? First, a huge part of being young seems to be transplantable. You can literally transfer it. Second, this completely changes how we see our immune system. It's not just our bodyguard against germs, it's also the master conductor of aging. And finally, being able to engineer these rivers opens up a whole new world for therapies against aging. We're talking about a completely new program for youth.
So I want to leave you with this final question. We've always seen aging as this inevitable one-way street of decline, but what if we've had it all wrong? What if the true guardian of youth isn't some mythical fountain, but our own immune system? What if the secret has been inside us this whole time? This research, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?